Here we go. I tell you what, when it comes to money, I could probably talk all day about it. You can always talk about something you don't have. But the whole idea of the show today is to get past that, to get to the point where I have financial independence. My guest today is Orlando Huston. He has written a book, Thinking Your Way to Wealth, a guide to financial independence. Couple things I want to talk about. And we touched on in the last segment, generational wealth. And I think a lot of times we thought about, Social Security, passing down a pension, all those kinds of things that we could pass on to the next generation. But times have changed. Companies don't offer pension plans like they used to. You really have to plan for your retirement.
Correct. Like you said, companies typically don't offer pension plans anymore. They're pretty much far and few in between. If you're lucky to find a company that has a pension plan, then that's great. Some people are already working in a company that is offering a pension plan, and some pension plans are frozen. So because these pension plans aren't offered, which are typically defined benefit plans, guaranteed to pay, you're forced to save money yourself. Sometimes your company will match the employer-sponsored plan that they have, such as the 401k or 403b or some other type of employer-sponsored plan. Sometimes they won't, but that shouldn't stop you from saving, because at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, you want to make sure that you have enough money to retire. I typically recommend that people save about 10 to 15% of their income towards retirement. And the easiest way to contribute to your retirement is through your employer-sponsored plan, because they're taking money out of your pay. So it's through payroll deduction, pretty much out of sight, out of mind. And if your employer doesn't offer a plan, then you can start some other type of retirement plan outside that employer.
So I'm curious, when you say 10 to 15%, and if my company is offering, say, a match, okay, and some companies offer you matching. So if my goal is 15%, do I figure that I'm going to put 10% and they're going to match the other 5 for the 15%? Or do I do the 15% and let them match it with whatever they're going to do?
So you can look at it both ways. Some people will just put their 10% in, knowing their company's going to match 5%, and say that's my 15% of my contribution going in. But I do recommend that you should save yourself that 10 to 15%, because that other money is icing on the cake, so to speak. And the company reserves the right to match your employer-sponsored plan, such as in this case, the 401k plan. So some companies don't offer a match. And if you were contributing that 10% and the company's putting the 5%, and that's what you were banking on for the rest of your career, trying to play catch up.
Absolutely. So the other thing I want to talk about before we run out of time, and this is all well and good, we're talking about all these great things, but here's the reality. Most of us live with a certain amount of debt, whether it's credit card debt, student loan debt, that car that we never should have bought. We got debt. Is it realistic? Does it make sense that you got to deal with this debt issue before you can deal with all these other things we're talking about?
So I definitely think that you want to get a handle on your debt first, to, much as you can, because when you have debt, then that's going to pull down everything else that you have the ability to use to put money into, some type of vehicle. So when you pay your debt off, you free yourself from that, then you should start putting money into a retirement account, but have a strategy. Don't stretch the debt out for 10, 15, 30 years. Try to pay more on your debt, so that way you can start putting money into that retirement plan first. But I'm always a big proponent of being debt-free, especially in retirement. Try to be debt-free. But at any point in your life, I would say try to avoid debt if you can. There is some debt that's considered, good debt, so to speak. But yeah, definitely getting out of debt first before you start putting so much money into your retirement plan.
All right. So I'm curious, though, because you mentioned it. What is good debt? What would be good debt?
Yeah, so good debt could be a house. So your house, when you purchase a house, unless you're paying cash for it, it's going to be debt. But that house, it should be accruing some value over time. So it's an appreciating asset. right? It's not like most cars that is going to depreciate in value as soon as you take it off the lot. So that's what I mean by that things are going to appreciate in value, have equity in them, such as a property, a house.
All right. So if there were 3 tips, Mr. Huston, that you want to leave us with today, what would they be?
Yeah, I would say the 3 tips would be to make a plan, like I mentioned earlier, of where you want to be in life and set goals out to get there. I would definitely say to start thinking about generational wealth, because I believe that's very important to pass things down to the next generation, but also becoming financially independent. Don't get too far into debt, to the point where you can't start to save money for your future, because if not, you're going to find yourself working for many, many years after you plan to retire.
You know what? The last thing, and we don't have a lot of time, but I think the other thing that comes to my mind is when it comes to finances, the average person gets overwhelmed. We feel like we don't know this stuff, which is why books like yours make sense. And people like me need to read books like yours. But I think the other thing is to remember that whatever it is, you can do it, because it's so easy to say, you know what, I'm never going to do it anyway, so I'm just going to spend this. I'm just going to buy that bag or that car or whatever.
Yeah, correct. It's definitely easy, and a lot of people are intimidated by investing their money. So I wrote this book to take out that financial jargon, to demystify the world of finance, to bring it down to earth, so everybody could understand it. A very easy read, and you can think your way to wealth, and that will lead to financial independence.
I was going to say, you took the words right out of my mouth, because it is a very easy read. Tell folks again how they can get the book, Thinking Your Way to Wealth.
Yeah, so go to thinkingyourwaytowealth.com, and you can purchase a book there. You can also purchase the book on Amazon.
All right. Orlando Huston, thanks so much. You have you've given us lots to think about, and you know what? It's never too late. That's the other reality. It's never too late.
True.
All right. Thanks so much.
Okay.
We appreciate you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. We'll
day.
you too. We'll take a commercial break and come back with a closing thought or two.